Hey guys, it's Sarah from ExtremeTerrain.com, and today we have a review and install of the Barricade 3.5-inch Bull Bar with skid plate fitting your 16 and newer Toyota Tacomas. This Bull Bar features heavy-duty tubular stainless steel construction with a nice polished finish, but if polish is not your thing, it also comes in black. This Bull Bar includes a skid plate as well as mounts for lighting, so you can add some lights down the road. So one thing I do want to note is that because of the way this mounts to your Tacoma, it's not going to offer as much protection as, say, a brush guard would that mounts higher up as well as down below. However, if you're just looking for some mild protection and to add some style to the front of your Tacoma, this is definitely going to get the job done. Coming in at around $250, this is a great way to spice up the look of the front of your Tacoma and has the added functionality of the light bar brackets. I'm giving this install a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. It can be done in approximately 1 hour, but does require some minor trimming for install. All right, with that said, let's jump right into our install. For this install, we used a 16mm wrench, 13mm ratcheting wrench, 16, 14, and 10mm sockets, an air ratchet, an impact gun, and a pop clip removal tool. So the first step for our install is to remove this air dam on the bottom of your Tacoma's bumper. For this, you're going to want a 10mm socket, and let's get this off. Using your 10mm socket, remove the bolts holding your air dam to your bumper. Don't forget about the 2 bolts on the other side of the air dam. These also hold it on. With the bolts removed, remove your air dam. So this portion of the install is optional, but we're going to remove the grill to get a better look at where these brackets are going and to get to them a little easier. Grab a 10mm socket and remove the 2 bolts out of the top of the grill. Next up, remove the 2 pop clips holding in your grill to your headlight. With all of the hardware out of the grill, pull up on the 2 plastic brackets on the top, and then pull the grill straight out. We're also going to remove these plastic air dams behind our grill. Remove the pop clip, and you should be able to slide these out. Pulling straight out to release the clips, you should be able to twist it and remove it. So with our grill and our air dams removed, we can now see the crash beam nuts that we have to remove. We're going to take off the 2 on the outside of our crash beam. We're going to start with this one on the top because it is easier to get to from this angle. Using your 14mm socket, remove this nut. So you do have to remove part of this splash guard in order to install the brackets. Ours has already been cut, but I have the piece here to demonstrate. You're just going to cut right along this frame piece here and then straight out just to clear about that much room for the bracket. And with this cut away, we can now see the bottom nut. Grab your 14mm socket and remove it. Grab the bracket marked P for passenger, slide it up through the hole that you just made, and over top of the studs with the top 2 holes. The 3rd hole should line up with a larger hole in your frame, and you can grab the included long hardware and get that through. Grab one of the large spacer washers and one of the larger bolts. Line up your spacer washer to the hole. Grab your long bolt and thread it through that part of the frame. Make sure you get both the spacer washer as well as the bracket. Once you have it through, grab a smaller washer, lock washer, and then a nut. Grab a 16mm wrench and a 16mm socket. You may need a swivel for this, and tighten these down. Place the nuts over the factory studs. Grab your 14mm socket and tighten these down. Repeat those steps on the other side. Grab your bracket for the driver's side. Line it up over the two studs. And with the opening on the frame, grabbing the longer hardware and your large spacer washers. Line up your bolts through both spacer washers as well as the bracket. Grab your smaller washer, lock washer, and nut, and thread them over the end of the bolts. Using a 16mm socket and wrench, tighten this down. You may also need a swivel for this one. Grabbing your factory nuts, thread them over your studs to hold on your bracket. Grab your 14mm socket and tighten these down. With our brackets in place, we can now reinstall our air dams and put our grill back together. Slide the air dams in and line them up to your holes, and then snap in the pins. Once your air dam is in place, grab the plastic clip and reinstall it. At this point, we can reinstall our grill. Line it up to the front of the Tacoma. Make sure you're getting the pins on both sides lined up. Line up the two brackets on the top. Reinstall your hardware. Grab your 10mm socket and tighten these down. Reinstall the push clips at the corner of your headlights. Now that our grill is installed, let's shut our hood. So one thing to note is that if you would like to reuse your splash guard, you will need to make 2 small cuts in it to clear the brackets that we just installed. Hold your splash guard up to the bottom of your bumper. Measure for your cuts. And just make sure not to cut into this top strip here so that it can still be held onto your bumper nicely. Now you don't have to reuse this if you don't want, and we like the look of it without, so we're gonna proceed with the install. At this point, we can attach our brackets to our bull bar. Grab the bracket that has the driver's side D on there and line it up to the driver's side of your bull bar. Grab the 8x35mm bolts with a washer and a lock washer and thread these in. As you can see, there's quite a bit of adjustability here, so we're just gonna snug these up for now and tighten them down when they're on the Tacoma. Repeat that process with the passenger side bracket on the other side. We're just gonna snug these down again because there is a lot of adjustability. We're gonna make sure it lines up nicely with the front of the Tacoma and then tighten it down once it's on the truck. Grab your bull bar and line it up to the brackets. Grab your hardware with a washer on each side. And using a washer, lock washer, and nut, get it started on the other side. Repeat that on the other side. Line up your bracket. And make sure there's a washer, lock washer, and nut on the other side. Line up the back holes. And install your hardware. Line up your hardware on the other side. So as you can see, there is a lot of adjustability with this bull bar. So you want to put it right about where you want it, I'd say. I like it right about there. Hold it in place and grab your 16mm socket and wrench and tighten down. Tighten down your other side. Grabbing a 13mm ratcheting wrench, tighten down the 2 bolts holding your bull bar to the bracket. You may have to use an open end on this side because it is pretty close to this bracket. Grab your 13mm wrench and tighten down the other side. All right, so that is going to do it for the review and install of our Barricade Bull Bar. Remember, for all things Tacoma, keep it at ExtremeTerrain.com.